I like that. You said God is good?
I said that is good. That is
Oh,
good. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know your religious beliefs, but we can find
Yeah.
out. Good
Yeah. You
evening, everybody. It is Monday, and because of the long weekend, it feels as if it could be Sunday, right? So,
right.
thank you for tuning in to Try Together, and Miss Nicole E. Gant. Thank you for taking the time to come on here today. That means a lot because you just told me, before we went live that you were having a busy day. So, how are you feeling?
I am good. It has been a very busy day. Like I was telling you, I am at the Texas Mexico border, and I am developing and have developed an educational program for migrant children. And so
Wow.
that is a 7 day a week, 12, 13, 14 hour a day, every single day process because, you know, the children are here. And so, we they need people here to serve them.
Wow. When is it you first started doing, I would say philanthropist work, or would you call it humanitarian work? Like, when was that? When you realized, like, I need to do this?
Well, this process, this part of it started. I would say this part of it started during COVID. This part
Oh.
of the journey started
Mm-hmm.
during COVID because you know that what I call the great pause,
Mm-hmm.
because everyone was forced to pause. It gave me a lot of time to slow down and think and process and actually pause and ask myself, what what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my career? What do I want to do? Where do I see myself? And two very critical things happened in 2020. COVID
Mm-hmm.
happened, and so therefore the great pause happened, and George Floyd happened. And I firmly believe that had we not all been sitting still at the same time, we would have missed it.
Mm.
Right? We would have missed all of that. And because we didn't miss it, and because I didn't miss it, um, I told myself and I told my children that not if, but when we come out of this, I it is my intention to do something greater with my life. And I've always been an educator. I've always done great things with my life, but I wanted to have a larger impact, right?
Mm.
I live in Austin, Texas, and I love Austin. Austin has been very good to me and has been very good to me as an educator. But the children and the families there, they want me because they can afford that life and that lifestyle for their family and for their children, and God bless them for that. That is awesome and that is great. But for the people and the places and the families and the children who cannot afford a private education or educator, I wanted to make myself available to those children. I wanted to have an impact on those children because these children will become the adults in the world that we're in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're sitting around and we're right now we are observers to what this world is bringing us. And it is a lot of very angry, upset, sad people with, this deficit mentality adults. And so I wanted to have a larger impact on the children, not just in my city and not just in my state, but in the world. And that all came to me during COVID. I have always been what I call a servant. You know, I've always been very intentional about serving. My children are adopted. They were all in foster care.
Mm.
And so I was a foster parent for 11 years in Harris County, which is Houston, Texas. All of my children were born in Houston, Texas. And, I adopted 4 children from Houston, Texas.
Wow.
And I adopted 4 children that were considered to be high risk and unadoptable. because
Mm.
they were children of color,
Wow.
Black and brown children. And so that is segued into what I'm doing today. Two of my children could have been the children that I'm serving today, because their parents were migrant, um, and they my children ended up in foster care, therefore ended up with me.
Hmm.
And so that connection runs far and wide for me in terms of how do we serve, who do we serve, and why.
This is so deep. Do you feel that this is such a big dream, like a gap that you have to bridge, right? Do you feel it's a step, but it's not like possible to bridge that whole gap in this lifetime, but you're starting it out? Is that how you feel?
Man, that is such a deep question. I
Right.
so
Your
it's so
story's
interesting. It's so interesting because I always refer to myself as a bridge.
wow.
I always refer to myself as a bridge. I want to bridge the gap, right?
Wow.
I want to bridge the gap between um, children who have and children who don't have.
Mm.
I am a Montessori guide by trade,
Mhm.
and
I like
if you know enough about Montessori, you know that it really caters. Montessori really caters to the families and the children who have,
that. Mm.
right? But Maria Montessori, who developed the Montessori philosophy, her
Mhm.
philosophy was she Montessori was called peace education. So how do you have peace education? How do you bring peace to the world if it is only brought to a small demographic of
Mm.
people? How do you bridge the gap between children in foster care who are labeled, high risk and unadoptable, and high risk meaning they're either going to go to jail, be killed, or be pregnant before
Mm.
they're adults? How do you bridge that gap with those kids who are being labeled that as young children?
Mm.
You have to be the bridge to show that it can be done and it can be done differently. And so I do feel like a lot of my life has been spent being that bridge, but also attempting to shift a dialogue, to shift
Mm.
a mindset, to shift an entire attitude about certain things and certain people, and understanding that we can make a difference. Even one of us can make a difference, and many of us can make a difference if we create that intention. But oftentimes we're bystanders to what is happening, and we don't see where we can jump in and affect change, or to be the change.
Hmm. I have a question for you. Of course, you and we're people who are doing this work, but why do you feel that others don't, that they depend on someone else will do it, or that's not my responsibility? That kind of thinking. What do you feel is missing from their thinking? I want to know your input. Like what kind of, and it's interesting because people can be very judgmental and biased and start saying that they're not good people. But I want to tell my input after I hear yours.
I think so many of us are great people, but
Mhm.
I also think so many of us live with fear.
Mhm.
And I think that fear becomes a barrier. And I've always said that fear is a constant companion who's happy to tell you lies, you
I
know?
like that.
And if we believe those lies about ourselves, we believe those lies about other people, we believe
Mhm.
those lies about the world, we believe we believe the lie that we can't make a difference and we can't make a change, so we have to wait for someone else to do it,
Mhm.
then we're always going to be stopped, right? And I realized about, I realized about a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
I had this epiphany. I have a lot of epiphanies or visions or thoughts, intuitions while I'm sleeping or when I'm meditating or praying.
Wow.
And it came to me as clear as day that oftentimes we are waiting for the fear to go away before we take action.
Mm.
And I realized that fear never truly goes away.
Yeah.
What happens is fear is there and we say yes to it anyway,
Yeah.
right? Most of the time we go, nope, that's too scary. I'm not going to do that. Or that's too scary. What if that doesn't work? That's
Mm.
too scary. What if they don't like it? That's too scary. I'm just going to wait until the fear goes away, because when the fear goes away, then I'll know this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
No, fear is an indicator that you are on the right path. Fear is just waiting for you to move it out of the way so you can do the things that you need or want to do that are going to make you or your life great or someone else's life great.
Wow. I really like that.
Yeah, so I used to be in bed with fear.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about me was fear. And I would
Mm.
what if things to death. What if this? And what if that? And what if this? Well, but what if they say this? And I was paralyzed by
Mm-hmm.
fear most of my life. And now I approach fear head on.
Mm.
I say, okay, this is my fear. I had a fear earlier today where I said, I acknowledged that I had a fear that I wasn't good enough in the
Wow.
environment, in the environment that I'm working in.
Mm.
And once I acknowledged it, I was like, okay, well, you are good enough. And what you need to do is reach out to this person and say these things and let that person know your concerns and your thoughts and see if you can come up with a solution. But as long as I was carrying that fear, then I also had a little bit of angst behind it. And that angst was turning into a little bit of resentment and frustration, and it was building that barrier.
Mm.
And the barrier becomes a barrier to your greatness. And I just, to be honest with you, I got sick and tired of fear.
I like that. Just punch it out. I just
Yeah.
recently read something before we became live by Dr. Rebecca Ray. Do you know of her?
I've heard of her.
Yeah, her new book Boundaries I completed as well. But I just saw a post of hers where you were talking about resentment, anger, all of that. That can be also regarding your boundaries. Like that's what the post was stating. But one big thing I wanted to point out is awareness, like how I was saying, the people who aren't doing the work that we're doing is because they may not have that awareness, that awakening, or that calling to do the same work we do. Maybe their calling is just to do the career that they chose, such as a construction worker or only a teacher, or, but it's interesting because I'm saying like only a teacher, only in this one field, because, when we're raised, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? I still remember that when I came to the States and I was thinking, okay, like of, fashion merchandising or like one specific thing. Now, with the different things that I do, I've learned that we're not meant to remain the same, or stagnant, or do just one career field. You can do different things. There's people who are doing career and then they have their business, which isn't something else that's like their passion, or vice
Right.
versa, or both are passions. So it's interesting. Like I find it really great that you chose to be a foster mom. And I remember growing up, I had a poor connotation because of the area I lived in, such as I've heard, people do that only for money, things of that nature. Did you ever receive like less support because of that connotation or anything?
I did. I didn't have a lot of support growing up. Um, Hence my fear.
Hmm.
I often tell people if the conversation comes up, I tell
Yeah.
people that I was born into fear. I was born
Wow.
into shame, you know, and when you're
Hmm.
born into fear, that's all you know. It's at the core of your being.
Hmm.
And when you're surrounded by fear and you're surrounded by shame, and I believe that fear also derives from shame. And
Mm.
when you live in shame, you don't see yourself as great. You don't see yourself as successful. You don't see yourself as beautiful. You don't see yourself as worthy. And I grew up with that sense of lack because that's what my family dynamic represented. Um, my father was very abusive, and my mother was on the other side of that abuse. And
Mhm.
so, being a small child, seeing that play out, it mirrors back to you who you
That's
are
right.
as a person. And that being mirrored back to me, that sense of self worth, like, yes, it is okay for you to stand up for yourself. It is
Mhm.
okay for you to advocate for yourself. It is okay for you to fight for your dreams. And then after you fight for your dreams, to live out those dreams. It is okay for you to be successful. It is okay for you to be financially stable and successful,
Mhm.
right? Those things have to be modeled in some capacity, even if it's modeled on TV, right? Some people, they get it from their family dynamic or they get it from television, but they can tell you where they got it from. And I did not get that until I was an adult. And it was really because of the people that I surrounded myself with. But I surrounded myself with those people by accident, just by way of what I do and where I live. I was surrounded by very successful people. And I was
Yay.
surrounded by people who saw me as successful as well. And for the longest time, and even until this morning, I had a little bit of imposter syndrome. You know, who am I to be a woman of color on
Mm.
this team of all white leadership? You
Wow.
know, doing the thing that I'm doing, and developing an educational program that is approved by the federal government. You know, and
Wow.
who am I to be a coach and a consultant? And am I taken seriously? You know, all of those things go back to that beginning of, like, you don't deserve that because you shouldn't even be here.
Mhm.
You were not wanted. You were not created on purpose. You know, and so it definitely makes an imprint in your mind and in your heart, and mostly your spirit, around who you are as a person and who you believe you are. Even if you believe that you can be more, it is very difficult to believe that you should be, and therefore you go out and do it.
I definitely understand that. I'm right where you are. I really am. I
Yeah.
really am. Even with Chai Together and, to create my collective that I'm creating, it's almost complete. And it's still, the first time when I'm taking the step to, have clients, etc. It's interesting because, I come from complex traumas. And recently I've just realized the day before, recently when you just texted me, when you said, energetically, and it's like I was down. Like, you know what I mean? So it's really interesting how you caught that, or you felt something. And I didn't even tell you that, hey, I'm taking, after this month is my last month of life. So maybe you heard me say that, but I wasn't having that conversation with you. But
Mhm.
I feel like it's all in God's divine time, whatever, someone may believe
Yeah.
in. But because I slept till 10:30 a.m. this morning because I felt I need to keep sleeping it off, whatever I was processing. And that was really
Mhm.
important for me to do because, I do daily lives, but I hadn't had, something come up. Usually I'm very stable, but something to kind of shake me up. So that just is to say that the best of us can sometimes fall down. Like, everybody falls down, and not fall down doesn't mean like necessarily depression, etc., but sometimes you need some space and time to collect your thoughts and then get
Right.
back to your day.
Yeah.
I find what you do to be amazing, like in the sense of, you feeling imposter syndrome, like having all the fluctuating emotions that you do, such as I do, but still showing up for yourself. I feel like that's the most important thing, because I've experienced everything that you've experienced, and I remember when we first spoke that we automatically clicked, and I didn't know you, you didn't know me, but you could feel that it's authentic and genuine, because a lot of people pitch you in the DMs and things like that, but I'm about stories and heart,
Yes.
and like you already know what we do here. So that is rare to find. So it's like you're rare as well. And rare is like underrated. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
may not be like blown up on a bill, but like it's easy to get on a billboard, honestly. It's just money. And
Right.
then to be known, globally, that's all great and all. But the people who are behind the scenes, like you creating the program, nobody would know you created it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like you're
Yeah.
doing the big job. That's what a lot of people do, even on Broadway and stuff. The show doesn't go on unless it's people in the background who make it happen, the
Right.
little people, right? As they
Yeah.
say. So
Right.
I think it's such a big deal. And I wanted to say that Brené Brown would love to have a conversation with you regarding the shame, because
Yeah.
she studies vulnerability and shame, right? Like of
Right.
her. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like this is just the beginning for you, and that so many doors will open. I'm like telling the universe, but that
Yeah.
so many doors will open. I could see you like on Oprah. I could see like, you could discussing regarding being a Black woman, experiencing this. And one of my best friends, she's doing her PhD, and she's Black, and she's a psychologist. So, you don't really see the minority people reaching to the top.
Right.
So I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to reach to the top, because I also believe, I mean, I didn't used to believe this. It's taken me
Hmm.
so long to get here, but like I'm working with migrant children, right? And even when I
Hmm.
wasn't, um, when I was working just with young children, I want them to see persistence,
Mm.
right? I want to model that persistence. I want to model to never ever give up. I post that all the time. Never ever give
Hmm.
up. I was told that my 17-year-old daughter would not live past age 2.5. You
Oh,
shouldn't
wow.
adopt her. You shouldn't adopt her. I was
Mm.
told that my 18-year-old son would be nothing more than a doorstop.
Oh, look at him now. I know, right?
Right? You shouldn't adopt him, right?
Wow.
And I had to believe something more and something different than that,
Wow.
because the voices, the expert voices, were telling me something different, right? Well,
Mhm.
I've become an expert in what it looks like when you breathe life and support and energy and intention into a child, and they
Yes.
turn out to be a black belt and the state champion of Texas in Taekwondo. I know what it looks like when you breathe intention and life and health and healthy food into a child. And now they are an actress and they are a model.
Mhm.
And by the way, she did not die at age 2.5.
Mhm.
Right?
Right.
And so, this impression, what we tell, the messages I got as a child was, you're not worthy,
Mm.
right? What happens when we shift that message? And so, honestly, I've become this person so that I can model it back to children in the way that it was modeled to me in the other direction.
Mhm.
You're not worthy, you're ashamed, you live in fear. I am trying my best to model the other side of that. You are worthy, you are deserving, you are good, you are kind, you are smart, you are here with the most intention. You dream the biggest dreams of your life. And it doesn't matter if it is my children or the children in my class,
Mhm.
or the children at the site that I'm at, because the world is a hard place. But I firmly believe that you need one person who is going to tell you the truth about yourself,
Mhm.
which is that you should be here because you are here. You did
Yeah.
not get here by accident.
I like that. That should be a shirt. You should be here because you are here. Seriously, those
Yeah,
would sell out. That's a beautiful
yeah,
quote.
yeah.
Mhm.
And so I I just feel led, I feel called
Wow.
to bring those messages out because I didn't have that necessarily as a child, and not because people around me didn't care about me. They just
Mm-hmm.
had a difficult time taking care of themselves and feeling safe in their own skin and in their own environment and in their own relationships. And when that happens, they cannot take care of you.
Wow. I like that. And it is hard, and that doesn't make it easier. Like, I can resonate with that regarding my parents, but one thing
Yeah,
I know is like they do the best they can. They've done the
yeah,
best they can from their education level. And
right.
uh, me migrating here, like, me becoming a citizen here back in
Yeah,
2008. I remember when I first came here, we were told like these big dreams, America's a dream, this and that.
yeah,
Then you come to find out it's just another place to live.
yeah. And it's hard. It's not even another place to live, right?
Yeah.
It's hard. It is
Mhm.
hard. Like, you're not welcome here.
Mhm. Oh
You,
yeah, we were told many times to go back to my
yeah,
country. I said, "Well, this is my country. I'm a citizen
yeah.
now."
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
it's
writing
sad
down this
though.
quote because I'm writing down this quote because I just speak from my heart, and
Oh yeah, I would
obviously,
remind you. Yeah,
yeah,
you should be
yeah,
here
but
because you
it's
are here. Yeah.
yeah. When and this is what I tell the children that I work with:
Mhm.
you are here. You have done
Yeah.
the hard work, and I would say that to you as well. You did the hard work.
Yeah. I didn't speak
You,
English when I came to this country.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
hello.
A lot of the children I work with do not
That was
speak English.
hard.
They're
I
little.
got bullied. Yeah, it was really
Yeah,
it's shoot. I was in ESL, now I teach ESL. That's a level up.
nice.
Woo.
Yeah, that is a level. Yeah. But you know what? The people bullying you, this is the thing
Yeah.
about living in such a wounded society.
Mhm.
They could not do what you did.
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't have the capacity to do it, but somehow you did it and you survived it. But oftentimes, when we survive, when we are survivors, we also come out with that sense of like, well, I shouldn't be here. So we get used to
Mm.
like scratching and clawing our ways to the top, because we've had to survive, we've had to fight
That's
our whole
true.
life. And setting that down takes a lot of energy and a lot of effort, because when you set it down, that is the moment that you have to believe I deserve more. I don't
Yes.
I remember the day that I made the decision and I said, I don't want to fight anymore.
Mm.
I'm done. I try to be a pretty positive person, but where I was concerned, I like put myself down a lot. And I told myself, I don't want to fight anymore. And so I started coaching. That was when I decided I was going to coach, and I was already doing consulting for
Mm.
tools and such, but I wasn't doing personal coaching.
Mm.
And because I'm sure you identify with this, when you coach someone, you are also coaching yourself,
Yeah.
you know. And I told myself I wanted to have a bigger impact. I wanted to make a difference, particularly in the lives of women or
Mhm.
people who live with fear,
Yeah.
because fear is so paralyzing, and I know what it did to me. Fear robbed me of so many things, but I allowed it to.
Yes.
I allowed it to take hold over my life.
I can agree with that because I've had a friend of mine, Robbie. I haven't been in touch with him, and I remember when I was in my early 20s and I was on the phone hyperventilating because that's how bad my anxiety was. Like, I couldn't even finish a sentence. And here I
Yeah,
am today on Chai Together. And I had such
yeah,
bad anxiety. I never record a video on camera or anything and look at me.
yeah,
You understand? But it was so hard. It was hell. Like, I'm gonna
yeah,
say, I don't thank God. Like, I'm blessed that I made it out of that because most people would take themselves out. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, it was unbearable. Like, being clinically depressed, etc. It was
yeah,
unbearable. Each moment felt so long because you're in pain. It's like, when is this gonna end? I want the day. The statements when people say, "Oh, another day, another dollar," or just another day, or I want the day to be over. I can't wait till Monday's over, etc. That was me. Like,
yeah.
that was my mind. So
Right. Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
come
I've
a
heard
long
that.
way. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel that because I think it's all tied together, right? Like, if you can't breathe, how
Yeah, I
can
literally
you,
could not.
yeah, if you
Right.
can't breathe, then how can you have life? And it is merely sustaining. And I coined this phrase, I didn't want to live to survive. I wanted to live to thrive.
Mm,
And, I started saying that and I started walking. And I would say that every day. I would say it every morning. I want to live to thrive, not to survive.
I
And
like
I
that.
started doing that every day. And then I started working on the fear part, living with intention. I am living with intention. I and then I shifted that from living with intention to, people choose a word every year, and
Mm-hmm.
people would say, "What is your word?" And I would say, "I have two words. It is I will and I can."
Ooh, yeah.
Right? As opposed to like do, or love. My
Yeah.
words were like I will
And I can.
and I can, because that was my
Wow.
intention, that I am going to do this. And then I just this past year I started saying fear yes, instead of, you know, people say fearless.
Yeah.
And, I realized, well, the fear is going to be there. So, okay, what else do I have if the
Mm.
fear is going to be there? Instead of saying fearless, I started saying fear, yes.
Yeah.
Fear,
That should be
yes.
another shirt.
Yeah.
Fear in cursive, the big word yes. Exclamation
Yeah.
point. You should make that into a shirt too. You got your shop
Right.
yet?
Yeah.
I'm pushing you.
I'm
For
working
real.
on doing my
These are
shop.
two these are two great shirts. I see it in white and then with written in black. Like I can see that. Like
Yeah.
simple, everybody could wear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that.
So, I'm like, these thoughts are all in my head, and that's where
Mhm.
I won't call it motivation, because motivation I think is temporary, but
Mhm. It
my
is.
my my life intention comes from, and the energy that I have around my life, and how I see other people as well.
Mhm. Man, this is a beautiful conversation. It's the first time I'm talking to you as well. I love it. I want you
Yeah.
to share with us. I know you're creating the educational program, but do you want to share more with us regarding your coaching? Because are you a
Yeah.
coach to just parents, or are you a coach to everyone?
So, yeah, I am a coach to everyone. I started off as a parent coach, and
Mhm.
really, um, my coaching business evolved because I started off coaching parents. And I began to realize, like, the more I talked to the parents about their children,
Mhm.
the more I was talking to the parents about themselves, right?
Yeah.
Because most barriers to parenting are fears or stories that we've created in our minds around what we can and cannot do as parents.
Mhm.
Like, my child won't listen to me. Well, where is that coming from?
Mm.
Right. And so that's how it started. But how it has evolved is coaching people around fear, because 99% of barriers stem from fear. I would like to do this career, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to quit my job, because what if I'm not successful and I don't make any money?
Mm.
I would
Right.
like to move to California, but I'm not going to do it, because what if I get to California and I can't find a job? Right. So,
Right. You're already
um,
saying no to yourself when you do that. You're already putting
yeah,
yourself down.
right. And so a lot of my coaching has come from a place of wanting to help and support people in living their goals and their dreams,
Mm.
realizing those goals and dreams by first acknowledging the fear and talking through it, and realizing the fear may not be as big and powerful as we think it is, and
Mhm.
helping them navigate that fear to a place where they see themselves.
I've learned that, fear is healthy. There's good fear, bad fear. Like, I don't know if you heard of
Yeah,
that, but like, for example, like when I first spoke on stage last year in November 2020, I had such poor anxiety. I thought I was going to throw up. Like, it was
yeah,
like really high anxiety. And I don't have, anxiety on a daily basis, but to know that I'm going to speak on stage,
yeah,
like a physical stage, not virtual.
right.
Uh, but once I got on stage, I was good. But that knowing that, oh my God, my name is up, like I have to go up, it was horrible. But I
Yeah,
want to say, like, there's also those are like more so healthy anxieties, I would say,
yeah,
for me, because I don't
yeah,
have that as a diagnosis. So that's healthy anxiety. You're nervous about something exciting coming up, things like that. So everyone has anxiety, everyone has fear. These are
right.
normal emotions. If you don't, like, if you're numb, like, that is a concern, that if you
Yeah,
don't, then you
right.
should seek some help.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, like, that fear is a good thing. And
Hmm.
then, because the fear is also an indicator that what you're getting ready to do is important to you.
Yeah.
Fear, the fear is not an indicator, is not something that says stop, don't do it. It's an
Mhm.
indicator that, hey, this is important to me and it matters to me. I want to do a good job. I've always dreamed of doing this. This has always been my goal.
Mhm.
And I may throw up, but um, but I want to
Yeah,
do it. And but fear should not leave you in a place of regret,
I know. I
right?
felt great after. I was all liberated.
Yeah, yeah. So if we don't do it, then we have the fear, or we have that regret. Like, oh, when we come out of the fear, we're like, oh man, I wish I would have done that.
Mhm.
And so it's just separating what we can do
Mm.
versus what fear is telling us we can't do. And I know that I deprived myself of a lot of experiences, um,
Yeah.
because of fear. And
Mhm.
I want to support other people, especially moms, especially women of color.
Mhm.
Um, you know, even men, men carry so much fear that we
Mm.
don't acknowledge because we don't allow them the space to have fear.
I like that.
There's, they're supposed to be fearless. You're supposed to man up,
Right.
go out there and get them. And if they don't, then they're not a man. They're not worthy. They're not equals. Even women put men down for
Yes.
acknowledging and expressing their fears.
Yes, it's a lot of pressure they have on themselves, and a lot of men commit suicide.
Yeah,
Last I checked, I believe more than women. So yeah,
yeah,
it's because, but that's changing slowly. Like, they're learning that, oh, parents are learning that, they also have feminine energy. Men do have feminine energy
yes,
in them as well. That
yeah,
but there are some parents who are strict or traditional religious beliefs that if a boy wants to dress, when they're a boy, by sex, like a male is wants to play
yes,
dress up with Barbies, etc. That's
right,
actually normal for a child, because my
yes,
background's also in education, child development.
yes,
It's normal for a child to want to experience and do what their sister is doing, etc. Like, but because of that male, dominant perspective, like, no, you're not supposed to dress up or play with dolls or wear heels, etc.
yeah.
Um, but that's slowly changing, I believe.
Yeah, it's like I said. I mean, my son is a black belt in Taekwondo. He's
Hmm.
currently the state champion in
Wow, that's a big
Taekwondo
deal.
in
Yeah.
every category, and he paints his nails. You know,
Yeah.
and it's just
Yeah.
color, it's just decoration.
Mhm.
And so many people have such a difficult time dealing with that. But who said? And if you think back 100 years
Yeah.
ago, 1,000 years ago, men were much more decorative than women.
Yes.
It was a form of prosperity
Yes.
to be dressed up, to have their hair done, to
Mhm.
and somehow through the ages we've shifted that and put men in a box. They can only
Mhm.
be one thing.
Yeah.
And if you shift out of that, or if you change, or if you evolve, then there's something wrong with you. And like I
Yes.
said, when women put men in that position, as much as we fight for our own rights,
Mhm.
we put men in the same box, and we put that pressure on them not to have emotion, or that feminine energy to even be
Mhm.
sensitive toward us. If men are too sensitive and too understanding toward us, we say they're, they're not, he's not a man,
Mhm.
and that is not correct. Could you imagine if more men, look at what we've got going on in Texas right now?
Yeah.
You know, our rights have been stripped away from us because the men in Texas are having a difficult
Mhm.
time identifying their feminine side.
I like that you said that. It's
Yeah, I mean,
true.
could you imagine if they were identifying with their feminine side and aligning and identifying with women as opposed to marginalizing women?
Yeah.
That's huge.
You already know I have like I it's I remember I did not comment specifically. Like I saw it popped up on my feed, but I did mention the one comment I liked was that it's 2021. It's our private parts, it's our bodies. Why is someone else controlling our bodies and what we do with their
Right.
bodies? I agree
Yeah.
with that comment, but I also had told that person to check out Mary Turner's story. Have you heard about Mary Turner?
No.
Yeah, it was a pregnancy murder, and that was done by white men. And I learned about this in the documentary by independent filmmaker Jason Pollock about finding Kendrick Johnson, the black boy who was found in the rolled up mat. And
Right.
in that movie where he lived in that part of Georgia was racist, and that's also where they had um, gruesomely.
Yeah.
If you would like, I can share what they did regarding her baby. Do you want me to share with you?
No, let's not share it because there may be people watching who might be
Mhm.
triggered by it.
Yeah.
But I think I get the sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, so well, no, of course, I would say, like, what I'm about to say is going to be
Yeah.
triggering because that's what we
Yeah.
do on
Yeah.
Try Together. But,
Yeah.
I'll share with you after. But anyone who is interested in researching that, so that was something that took place, and, that took place by men as well when they, committed that crime. So, yeah, that's why I left it for people to research on their own because I don't want any,
Yeah.
any comments regarding that up on my feed, so
Yeah. It's really it's sad and it's scary and it's
mhm,
disappointing, the position that we're in right now as women, as people of color in the
mhm,
state of Texas. Um, it feels like, as opposed to being less marginalized, we're becoming more marginalized. And again, this is also the reason why I am speaking more and I am training more and I am coaching more and I'm doing more interviews because I am not militant at all.
mhm,
I'm educated.
mhm.
And because I am educated, I want to educate other people on the rights that they have as human beings to simply be here. And that's very important.
I like that. So what is I know you said you like to bridge the gap. So what would you like to see, being bridged during the lifetime that you're alive now? Like for your own goal?
Yeah. Um, I would like to see more marginalized people educated
Mhm,
and in the true sense of the word, like one, them feeling like they can be educated and they should be in
mhm,
larger numbers. Um, two, bridging more of the race gap, um, because it feels like that has gotten wider in the last
mhm,
few years or so. And also bridging the gap, but with women, we as women have to support other women.
yes.
And there are so many gaps that we're not even supporting other women.
Mhm,
And there are so many gaps that we are not um, creating those bridges for ourselves, like stepping out on those limbs to be in the unspoken places, so to speak, and to be in the places that we've never been before. And I think we're oftentimes very distracted by what is happening in the news and what is happening out in the world, so much so that it does become a limitation. And who's to say, and and I've had this talk with myself lately, like there's so much going on in the world. Who's to say that I should be stay an educator? I love educating, but I need to run for public office.
Yes.
Maybe I need to start a group. Maybe I need to
Yes.
write a book,
I
you
was going
know?
to say that. A book from you, definitely
Yeah,
regarding fear, maybe the
yeah,
10 steps or et cetera, whatever. I feel like I visualize really well. I could just see the book, like a white background, you wearing like a blue suit or blue outfit,
yeah.
smiling. Like I
I
could
love
see it
that.
already.
Because
Yeah.
listen, check this out. As great as this is, the thing that I'm doing,
Hmm.
sometimes I also feel like I'm keeping myself in a box because an educator is what I am and an educator is what I've been.
Hmm.
It would be outside of my comfort zone to go write that book.
Yeah.
It would be outside of my comfort zone to make those shirts with those quotes,
Yeah.
right? But I
Hmm.
visualize it in my head, but for some reason I haven't done it.
Hmm.
And that's what I mean by bridging that gap.
Yeah. The knowing doing gap. You know what to
Yeah,
do, but you haven't been able to do it yet, you know?
yes. And that is the bridge that I want to create. Like, how do you know? How do you get to a place of knowing inside of you and then you do it?
Hmm.
And a lot of times we as women, we tend to second guess ourselves. We as women of color second guess ourselves multiple times.
Hmm.
And then, just by sure dynamic or demographic, it doesn't get done. And I want to shift that, not just for other people and other women, and but for myself. I want to be a living example of that.
I like that. And it's a journey, so it'll come. Regarding being entrepreneurial, like people
Yeah.
expect, and they may have expectations. When's your book coming out? When is this happening? It's like,
Yes.
for me, it's only been a 1 year journey. Yeah, I released my mugs. I've been co-author. I'm writing my own book regarding my abortion and multiple other things. And I'm going to grad school because I want to become a doctor in speech
Yeah.
pathology. But doing all these things, how much can one person do? Like I've been saying this recently, I'm one person. It's
Yeah.
a journey. It's not supposed to be, okay, package everything in 1 year. Okay, this is the year when I got started. Chai Together is 1 years old. Okay, let's see what next year after that. It's a
Right.
whole journey. It's like
Yeah.
years. It's a lifetime process.
It
My
is.
book
It
could
is a
come out
lifetime.
50 years from now.
Right. Yeah. We as humans and we as American humans love timelines and dates and
Yeah.
what are you going to do when you grow up? Oh, you're 18 now. You're an adult. So what
Yeah.
are you going to do? Well, I'm 18, and I tell my kids this all the time. You're 18. It does not make you an adult. It
Mhm.
makes you an adult by American standards, but they
I
still have
agree with
questions. I
that.
think that there's a lot of pressure to put on them. Oh, you're dating. When are you going to get engaged? You're engaged. When
Yes.
are you going to get married? Now
Yeah.
you're married. When are you going to have children? Right? And
Yeah.
really, your life line or your timeline is
Yeah.
yours. You own it. But again, we're not taught that when we're young children. We're taught that our timeline belongs to someone else and it has to be approved by someone else. And if it's not approved, then it doesn't exist.
I really like that. Yeah. I really like that. That's why recently I've been listening more to myself. I don't know if you follow the Buddhist monk, sorry, the Vietnamese monk, Thich Nhat Hanh. Do you know of
Mhm.
him?
Yes.
I really like his teachings and of course Sadhguru's teachings, and it's a really slow living is my best lifestyle. Like I've learned that,
Mhm.
like I may go to the city and stuff, but slow living as in not having too many things on my schedule, that's when I do the best. But
Yeah.
in westernization or culture of FOMO, fear of missing out, if you don't get this program, you don't buy this deal, you don't, you have to stay on
Yes.
top of the latest. No, you don't. That's why a lot of people are following into the minimalist journey now, as you've seen
Yeah.
that grew bigger, and more of
Yeah.
mental health has grown bigger. But after my minimalist journey, I've learned to be more of an essentialist, things you
Mhm.
need, not so,
Yeah,
because minimalism, I've learned from a spiritual coach friend of mine that with minimalism, you can start to be like scarce thinking or small minded thinking because you're just holding on to the few
right.
things, but you're not thinking big.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think for you, I think your kids are really blessed, and I think it's a great thing that you let people be who they are because
yeah,
you've learned that from your own experience. Like it doesn't benefit anyone when you're holding them hostage and
right.
when they're not someone they are not meant to be. You're kind of
Yeah,
like holding a caged bird in and suffocating it. And
yeah,
that's why a lot of people in corporate, etc. I mean, to each their own. Some people may really love it. It's their personality, but feel miserable when they get out of it. They start their own business or do a less paying job. They feel so much better and relieved because they don't feel pressure that they're dying every day.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And that's the thing. We have to shift the paradigm, right? So
Hmm.
that we can breathe life into the world. We can breathe life into the universe. Um, so that we can be life and experience life. And I think that that's why we're all here, but we don't all know that.
I like
But
that.
I'm trying to know that about myself so that I can know that and believe that about other people, because we're one big energy, and we give life, to and from other people. And that's why you and I connected, right? We sensed that about each other, and we made that connection, and now it's grown and it's evolved, um,
Yeah.
so we can make a bigger impact in the world on your side and my side.
Hmm. I like that.
Yeah.
Tell us how, we can help the migrant children, or like how do we support, or like, what's next? Yeah.
Um, it overall, it is a matter of, education and voting,
Mm,
and this, we live in a really big world, and I think most importantly, people have to understand that there's enough for all of us.
mm, there
You know,
is.
the battle we're fighting is typically a battle of lack. It's
Mm-hmm.
fear of lack, right? If they're here, then there's not going to be enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
And what about my kids? And what about my kids' school? And what about there's enough for everyone. We just have to believe it, right? It's the haves and the haves nots.
Mm-hmm.
And it pertains to everything. It pertains to the people who are way up here, and we
Mm,
believe we can never get there. Well, they got there because they believed that there was a place they could be.
mm-hmm.
And then there are the people down here that we want to keep down here because we have our little piece of the pie right here.
Yeah.
Well, if we were projecting ourselves way up here and understanding that there's enough for all of us, including
Mm-hmm.
us, then perhaps we not feel the need to
Put others
keep it
down. Mm-hmm.
right, keep it away from others who might need that little piece, because even if they take that little piece, there's still more than enough
There
for
is.
us.
Did you know, regarding world hunger, like we can end that right now because America has like 3 to 6 times more food than other places in the world. It's just that we're just hogging it all up. Like, I don't know
Yeah,
the details behind it, but I've learned that we can end the world hunger, but it's system wise. I don't know. I don't follow politics, but
right.
the system does not allow that. They want to keep, honestly, even when I lived in Thailand, I learned this that they want to keep the Thai people at the stand level. They don't want them as educated, etc. Even though I was doing my best, but they want people having stands outside, like food stands and etc. Markets, just stay at that level because they need people to be uneducated so they could be at that level. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
like they don't want to see the best in people. The government just, this is just from my experience there, but wants you to stay where
yeah.
you're at. They
We,
don't
we
want you to
all
get
want to
smarter.
feel we all want to feel empowered, right? And we all want to
Yeah.
feel in control of something.
Hmm.
But for me, I found that empowerment and that control really stems from empowering others
Hmm.
as well, so we can like I said, breathe life into each other, breathe life into the universe, you know, be the people, you know, if we're Christian, you know, be like Christ, you know, if we're Hindu or Buddhist, you know,
Mhm.
be the change. And I think it is possible. I think it is necessary for our survival. And I want to be a part of a positive outcome, a positive change. And that's what I want to bring into people's lives and their spirit and their world and their universe, and with our interactions with each other.
I like that. Thanks for sharing that. One thing as you were speaking, I realized is even like celebrities, et cetera, that are, great, that have charities and give back, but they're also occupied with doing the work they do so they can accumulate the money they do to give back. But them being also one person can only do so much. Let's say if only
Yeah,
15 celebrities are very, philanthropist based, the rest are not, you have to work together. It just doesn't work if it's only 15 people out of, let's say,
right,
200 celebrities who are giving back by choice. They don't have to.
right,
People say like, they should be. That would be great. That would be a great balance, but people don't, for
yeah,
whatever reason. So
right,
it just that came to mind that they also do what they can, but they also cannot. It's not everyone's, let's say, singular, like just as one person, it's not your burden to take care of the whole world. You would
right,
drown. It's
yeah,
everyone has their part. And I feel like, for example, like certain celebrities play their part by giving back a few million or whatever they can, right? But we also aren't at their level, so we don't know regarding taxations and what other bills or things they got going on. So
yeah,
that's just an example I wanted to give, because automatically people assume because someone is more financially successful that, oh, they can help us. That's not always true for whatever
not
reason,
necessarily.
because they may be in so much debt. There's people going bankrupt, like even as
Yeah,
celebrities. Like, so it's like, it's really on what you can do and the step you can take to make that even small impact that will turn into one day a big impact.
yeah. And sometimes just a smile and making eye contact is the
Yeah.
impact that one needs just to make it to the next day, or
Yes.
to do that hard thing, or saying I believe in you, or I
Yeah.
trust you, you know, or I knew you could do it, or I'm
Yeah.
here for you. And also doing it for ourselves, because self-care is super important. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
when when you've been, you know, when you live in lack,
Yeah.
oftentimes we don't take very good care of ourselves. And I'm
Hmm.
working on that as well, improving that so I can be a better person for myself and for other people.
Well, right now you have longer days because you're developing the program, right? So you're sacrificing, to complete this, right?
Yes, yes, my
Yeah.
days are very long. They are from sun up to sundown,
Wow.
mostly 7 days a week. But right now I feel like it's okay. I feel like it's worth it. I do try to take care of myself, like eating healthy, drinking
Yeah.
lots of water. I still try to go to bed as early as I can. Um, I try to put healthy things, conversations, interactions. When I have time for those interactions, I try to make sure they're fun or they're healthy,
Yes.
um, because I don't have a lot of time to waste, and I try not to waste it on negativity,
Hmm.
or things that are not going to affect me in a positive way.
Yes. That's why I don't focus on news.
I don't either. I
It
don't
just
either.
popped up because we had the hurricane here as well. It came here to Jersey. So that
Yeah,
popped up, and that was the same day for the Texas abortion rights. So it hit my news feed hard. These people
yeah,
were losing it. So,
right.
but it really hit me that day. I just want to say briefly that how real life is. So, in India, like I did grow up in floods, like, where I had to use I was a child, I had to use the restroom in a flood. Like I woke up from my bed in India in our home in New Delhi. I was about maybe 5, 6. I put
Mm,
my feet down into a dirty, muddy water, flooded our home. My whole home
yeah,
was flooded. I didn't know where to
wow,
go to the bathroom. My parents told me go to the bathroom over there outside, as if my just to be transparent, my pee wouldn't like just get into the flood and flood everywhere anyway. But as if
yeah,
that would make a difference. That was the thinking, like, oh, go
yeah,
outside in the flood. Like it was, the water's gonna flow anyway. But this
Right.
is just to say that when that happened recently, it made it real for me that no matter where you are in the world, anything can strike. And that how real it was when it came our way, that who would expect things like that to happen, but people don't understand until they feel the hit of it, that
Right.
this is real life.
Yeah. It's definitely real life, and life is short. So, I again, it's intention and just being good to people, being kind, being
Mm-hmm.
open, being generous. And, I told one of my assistants today, I said, this is a dog eat dog world. This is a dog eat dog environment. Be kind to everyone
Mm-hmm.
because you may need them, you know,
Yeah.
and be kind to everyone and give what you can when you can because we need each other. And that's a philosophy I try to live by because I think it's important. That's a part of being the bridge. Is just trying to be kind and open and honest and authentic. It's
I like
super
that. Yeah, and I wanted to say anything you say to someone, you could be their last trigger. Unfortunately, they may take themselves out. So you have to be mindful how you say something, whether you even know them or not. You have to consider other people's feelings. And like that's my whole point of it. You have to
right.
consider, they may be in a space that's not, maybe they're so overwhelmed. I just want to give a brief example. Like I had one person specifically come to me and say, regarding scheduling, say like they were upset with me or something. Basically, I didn't meet their expectations because I didn't have something organized yet. Like as in I do everything for all that I do. So it's like I
Mhm.
already had so much on my plate. I was not able to what do you say, like give back to them in that way because I
Right.
don't have an assistant. I do everything myself in a short amount of time. Like I don't
Yeah.
have that availability. But for the person, instead of to be understanding and give me that room to breathe, you want to suffocate somebody, right? I don't appreciate that kind of behavior. You should be
Right.
open and understanding to where someone is in their life and their
Yeah.
situation, and be kind because that person was no longer being kind. When people show
Right.
their true colors, it's like,
Yes.
you're not right for my show if you can't be
Right.
respectful of the host.
Yeah.
As in, if I'm saying that I have something going on and you're crossing my boundaries, once again the boundaries, it's like
Right.
that's this is not this doesn't go by how you want it to go. This is
Right.
my show, our community show. So it's
Yeah.
not what you want, it's how I want it. And if
Right.
you want, you can get your own show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How you want to do
Yeah.
things, this is how I do things. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially me
Yeah.
starting off, that was last year. I was very new. I didn't know how this stuff worked at all. And to someone have patience, but a few people did not have patience. That's okay. Then you're not right for me. You go about your
Yeah.
day. So
Yeah. We have to be in alignment, right?
yeah.
And that's where the strength comes in, is in alignment.
Mm,
And if we're not in alignment, I started that when my children were young because they had special physical and cognitive needs. I
yeah.
invited certain people into our lives, and if they were not in alignment, doctors, nurses, dentists, teachers, if they were not in
Yeah.
alignment with what I needed for my children, I'm sorry, thank you very much,
You gotta
goodbye.
go.
You gotta go. Yes.
I
And
like that
so,
goodbye. Yeah.
yeah, it takes a village. And so, on that note, on that note,
Yeah. Oh, I
thank
thought you
you.
were gonna say something more.
No, I was just saying on that
This
note,
is
thank you very
great.
much for
Yeah.
this
This is
time.
great. Yeah, it was great. Hour and 3 minutes. I'm so happy we had this conversation today, and thank you for your time. And
Yeah.
yeah, you can follow Nichole at NicholeGant.com and on Facebook. Do you invite people to follow on Facebook or no?
I'm trying to figure that part out. Maybe you can help me with that. I need to get. I have a lot of Facebook friends. I need to get followers. I need to shift to that.
Wow, I like that. I like that. Hold on, we'll talk about that. Thank you for those who watched this and any of those who tuned in, and really appreciate this informative conversation. I feel like this conversation was more informative for Chai Together and the community than just you sharing your story and about yourself. This is more so about others, you know, so I really like that today. So thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.